Hello everyone. Today I will be telling you guys a story about a guy who learns how to time travel. Enjoy the story. The guy, Jim, is 22 years old. He is in college. One day, when he is in his science class, the teacher tells everyone to build a time machine, and if anyone can do that they get an automatic A in the class. Jim was the smartest student in the class. He was also the smartest student in school. Jim knew exactly how to create the time machine. When it was finished, he went to test it out. But to Jim's shock, it didn't work when he pushed the on button. Jim was disappointed. But then, a few minutes later, Jim decided to create a remote control for the time machine. When he was adding the finishing touches to the remote, the time machine remained unchanged. Jim added volume buttons and channel buttons to the remote just for decoration. When the remote was done, Jim pressed the on button and aimed it at his time machine. To Jim's amazement, it turned on. The teacher congratulated Jim, then told him he got an A. He was the only one in the class who did it. The end. Just kidding, there's more to the story. Jim decided to take his teacher inside the time machine. His teacher was 24 years old and fresh out of college. Jim and the teacher have always had a crush on each other. They went into the time machine together. When they left the classroom, the students also left. Jim chose to travel to the future. During the trip, Jim and the teacher made out. Then they had sex. When they finished, they arrived at the future. The time machine docked right outside a starship port. Jim and the teacher decided to sneak onto a starship when nobody was looking. They found an empty room where they decided to stay. Then, a couple hours later, the ship took off. They were going very fast. Jim and the teacher decided to go to the captain and asked him how fast they were going and where. The captain said they were going 10 light years per hour and they were on a mission to leave the galaxy. Jim said, "Wow." The teacher said, "Whoa." The captain said, "I know." Then, the captain asked them what their names were. Jim said his name was Jim and the teacher said her name. Then, the captain gave them a tour of the ship. The captain said it was funny that the teacher's name was Carrie because his name was Larry. Jim said he felt left out, but he was joking. Normally, Jim would be concerned that Larry and Carrie would hook up, but Larry was 48 years old, so Jim wasn't too concerned. Carrie and Jim thought the ship was super cool. Then, Larry showed them the simulator of the ship, which is a room that simulates any environment. The three of them enjoyed a day in a water park in the simulator. At the end of the day, Carrie and Jim were ready to go back to their time. The problem was, Jim left the time machine on Earth and there weren't any supplies on the ship to make another one. Luckily, Captain Larry said that there was a time machine on the ship. Carrie and Jim found the time machine and used it to get back home. When they got back though, there were giant spiders on Earth instead of people. This must have been a result of a time paradox. But then Jim realized that there couldn't have been a paradox because they went to the future. Carrie and Jim went to check on the other machines in the classroom, but a few of them were gone. Other people must have figured out how to time travel and went to the past. Carrie asked Jim how they could fix this, and Jim said if he destroyed the central device which controlled all the time travel abilities, this would bring them back to the past and fix all this. Everything would be reset except for the memories of Jim and Carrie. Before Jim destroyed the central device though, he first destroyed the remaining time machines so this would never happen again. Jim destroyed it all and everything was fixed. Now time travel would be impossible for everyone, but at least there were no more giant spiders. Since Jim and Carrie remember their experience, they continued dating. 2 years later they got married. 2 years after they got married they had kids. 2 years after they had kids, Jim wrote a book about time travel and his experience and made millions from his book. 2 years after that they moved into a mansion. 2 years later Jim and Carrie retired from their jobs and just relaxed for the rest of their lives in their huge mansion. The end.